Welcome to the 4Geeks Plus1 podcast, part of the Anti-Grav Review website. Today we have Dylan.
Hello.
Joe.
Hello.
Sean.
Yo.
And myself. Yo? Really? This podcast will be available for download on the Anti-Grav Review website at antigravreview.wordpress.com. Today's podcast comes to you from the Daily Grind Arts Cafe at 601 Somerset Street West in Ottawa.
So I read an interesting article that Mike Lazaridis, one of the co-founders of Research in Motion, now BlackBerry, is branching out then to nanotechnology.
Oh, the quantum computing investment?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so...
Where's he putting that together?
It's on the side. It's $100 million. They've been trying to invest the money into a new startup.
Like BlackBerry, like he's part of...
No, it's
under
completely
BlackBerry?
separate. He's using some of his richness. And he and the other co-founder are putting $100 million of their own money into this quantum computing.
With John Bilsili?
No, the other one.
Mike Lazaridis and...
Not sure exactly, but...
Because, well, no one gives him the credit that he is due, Mike Lazaridis, for seeing the future. Like, he's part of the makers of BlackBerry, and he's the guy who actually bought QNX to create the new BlackBerry 10. And no one gives him the credit because he did it when the company was going downhill.
Well, now Mike was also the one that started the physics research lab out that way too, wasn't he?
In Waterloo,
Yeah.
So he does have a vision of the future, and just no one gives him the credit for it. Just because everything that happened in the downturn of BlackBerry, I guess. But that's pretty cool.
Well, and the quantum computing stuff is like scary level computations. I was reading, it wasn't the same article, but they were talking originally about the investment and their plan to go in and how many things they can continue to do in a single, like, these computers are massive and it's cooling them down though. That's the major trick with quantum computing. Because they're totally amazing stuff.
Well, to a useless conversation, because quantum physics is a little too much.
For you. Stephen Hawking wouldn't think so.
Well, yeah.
No,
well,
you
how
gotta
can we
remember, Hawking actually is a member of this institute that he started down in Waterloo as well. That's how well known this place is.
Oh, cool. Well,
You don't care though, do you?
No, I really don't care. I'm still baffled by our buddy Dylan here showing up with a notepad, literally a pen.
Yes, but he didn't have the technical difficulties we did. We've been here for an hour, folks.
Zero drivers, one peripheral, a pen, that's it, good to go.
A notepad is a 1970s laptop. Okay?
Yes.
Just I'll remember that.
Yeah. Who watched Robot Combat League lately?
I got my hand up. Dylan won't admit to it.
Actually, I've only seen the promo with Team Unicorn interviewing the guys who were setting it up, which was on YouTube. I haven't seen any of the shows yet.
Oh, you missed the one where George Lucas actually showed up to wish his daughter well, the MMA fighter.
Yeah, apparently she's an MMA fighter. I don't know what MMA fighters are doing at that show. There's like 2 of them or 3.
Yeah.
I don't know what... The robots, it's not like they can do these crazy moves. There's like 3 punches they can do. That's it. It doesn't matter what kind of skills you have. They do 3 punches. It's a train wreck. It's a train wreck and you can't not stop watching.
It's the next version up from the old Robot Combat League.
Okay, can you tell me, like, in front of your listeners, in like 20 words or less, no, I mean 30 words or less, why I should watch it?
Okay, first we need to introduce you though.
Oh, okay.
It's Katrina, our favorite waitress at the Daily Grind Cafe.
Hi, geeks.
I guess she wants to know about Robot Combat League. All I can say about it is it's a train wreck that you can't stop watching. That's pretty much as I can explain it. Every time you watch it, it's an hour of your life you can't get back, but you can't stop watching and you wait for the next Tuesday to watch it.
Okay.
With robots destroying each other. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
You've
a
got
great
robots,
premise,
you've got hydraulic fluid flying everywhere,
Sparks
you've got
and-
sparks.
Sparks, yeah. Last week was it this week when the hydraulics went in the guy's face?
Yeah.
with the 3 punches that the robot can do. That's it.
And it's hosted by Chris Jericho.
Yes,
which
Chris
is awesome.
Jericho. I don't know if you know anything about wrestling. No.
No, sorry. I mean the name, but no, I don't. What's the biggest thing that a non-viewer, someone who's not already a viewer, would gain from watching?
Absolutely
So, thank you for your honesty and your enjoy the rest of your show.
Yeah, what is the upside of Robot Combat Wars? There is
Absolutely
no
nothing.
upside. It is
Nothing
just
at
pure
all.
mind. That vacant mind, that's it. I mean, it's that observer effect.
I think they lost viewers when George Lucas's daughter left the show. When her
I didn't
robot
even know
lost.
she was George Lucas's daughter until about the second or halfway through the second show.
So do they have a recurring cast?
Well,
Yeah.
it's the same robots.
the same sort of the group that starts off. It's like a Survivor thing, where you got each team of 2. They go through and it's a round robin. They whittle
It's
they were down.
eliminations.
But she's out. The last one. I mean, that was the one that same show that one robot got decapitated,
Yeah.
or at least cut in half. Anyway.
No, it wasn't the same one.
No.
She was in the
same-
week after that.
I don't know. There's one that
Yeah.
got cut in half.
Yeah, that was pretty cool actually.
It's like that Jerry Seinfeld joke, like all the scientists in the world trying to cure cancer and all the engineers in the world trying to like build bridges. And then there's that one guy trying to find seedless watermelons. It's like all the most advanced minds in engineering are going towards this show. It's like our priorities are a little skewed right now.
Pretty much actually.
Sean, you had mentioned there was a new Trek movie coming out too, huh?
Trek?
Yeah.
Star Trek?
Star
Yeah.
Trek.
Yeah, I actually watched the new trailer for it last night. It was pretty good. It seems like there's a character that defects or deflects from the from the Star Trek good guys. And
From the Federation.
Yeah, from the Federation, and there's some love interest there. So I saw the first one. I was a big fan of the first one, so I'll definitely be checking that out.
Classic
And,
Trek.
Did anyone else see the trailer?
I saw part of the trailer. The one thing I did notice recently, though, there's a new show. Okay, in the new movie, the guy that plays Sulu,
Yeah.
he is actually starring in a new. We'll talk about it after, but he's starting in a new TV show that's coming out pretty soon.
Because I watched the trailer. I don't know how I feel about it. It's definitely Star Trek. But it's like James Bond meets Star Trek compared to Wrath of Khan meets Star Trek.
Well, it's irony that you're saying Wrath of Khan, because that's what some of the rumor mill is suggesting, is that Khan's going to make an appearance in Into Darkness.
What?
That's
Really?
That's what some people are saying, that Khan is going to be part of the Nemesis component of this, whatever dark side of the Federation.
It's just it felt, the way I saw it, it looked a lot like Kirk is going after that guy to save the Federation or whatever like that.
That's true, yeah.
But it's a lot like James Bond. It's
Yeah.
like this group of renegades decided to go after it pretty much to stop that one guy instead of this fleets of Star Trek ships
Mhm.
against another.
Well, I think they're saying in the premise that the fleet is decimated by this internal conflict.
Yeah, and that's what I don't know. The trailer gave me a different idea of Star Trek instead of the classic Star Trek movies.
Well, I think that's what they're doing with the reboot of the franchise, is that they're really getting away from the canon that anybody might have recognized from previous stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's. We'll wait and see. May 17 is it? I think the release.
Yeah, I think it's coming out around then.
Yeah.
The show that I was thinking of is Sleepy Hollow. The actor that plays.
Is he going to be in Ichabod?
Yeah, there actually is a television show called Sleepy Hollow where the writers are basically bringing, I guess some of the characters are not characters, but some of the actors are playing roles in the Sleepy Hollow, traditional Ichabod, where he's.
So where do you
going
go
out-
after season 1 of that show?
Well, I mean that's the thing, right? They're calling this science fiction, and it's not science fiction. It's Sleepy Hollow. It's he's battling evil demons and witches and sorcerers and ghosts and goblins, and it's like this is not science fiction stuff. Why is that even being mentioned as a sci-fi?
So you mean like the new Frankenstein movie where he's actually going to be involved in some covert war between two immortal factions?
Is this with Aaron Eckhart?
Yeah.
I, Frankenstein?
I, Frankenstein. I'm like reading the synopsis on that and going, I'm sorry, what?
Well, the interesting thing is when I was reading about sci-fi, the history, some people do consider Frankenstein to be one of the first sci-fi things or books, but I always associated more with like what Bill was saying, like horror or a little bit of, yeah.
Now there's what, 2 Frankenstein movies coming out this summer? One is the I, Frankenstein.
Based on the graphic novel, the same guy who wrote.
Okay, it's not
Underworld.
based on the original Mary Shelley Frankenstein.
No, it's apparently this graphic. It's based on the graphic novel I, Frankenstein. He's the same creator of the movie Underworld, which I never watched, but was with Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
That
A good
was
series. A good set of 3 movies, 4 movies.
A trilogy. Yeah.
It's a trilogy, yeah. But one of them is a prequel to it, so.
I just checked out Rotten Tomatoes and it was below the 40s. So
Oh no, it's. I think Rotten Tomatoes was wrong on this whole. Maybe the third one, the third Underground, Underworld. Sorry, Underworld. But the other 2. But yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, and Aaron Eckhart, who's a good actor actually. I really like him. He's in a new. Same guy who made Training Day, Antoine Fuqua.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's a good actor. So I'm really interested to see that movie. I'd definitely check that out.
But they say the Frankenstein graphic novel that you were talking about is closer to the original Frankenstein movie. Book. The original books than the movies were ever close to the book. So does that mean it's going to be closer than any other Frankenstein movie before to the original?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not sure where these 2 immortal tribes warring fits in. As far as Shelley's original version.
I don't remember any of that.
No,
the
exactly. Which
original.
is my point,
Yeah.
saying that the I, Frankenstein is probably not going to be a movie right on the money for.
Well, the other one that's coming out, I don't have a release date. It looks like sometime later on in the fall or something, but it's the Frankenstein Theory. And it's supposed to be from the makers of The Last Exorcism. And they're calling it a boldly original version of horror.
I hope it's
Sorry,
not the last
boldly original of a
Exorcism
movie
2.
that has 200 different versions of
Oh
it
yes,
since
yes,
1940,
that's the
whatever.
boldly original. But when you look at the preview and the trailer, essentially all it is Blair Witch-esque kind of thing, where you've got this guy who believes that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was actually not fiction, but based on an original, true life event. And he goes to, because Mary Shelley's Frankenstein ends in the Arctic, where Frankenstein is supposed to have been, have been killed in the Arctic on a ship. But he goes off to the Arctic with a camera crew, and he films this whole thing, and he's trying to find evidence of the original Frankenstein.
Because I guess when you're a reanimated human, the cold isn't much of a problem for
Well,
you.
I guess not.
You lost me right there. I probably won't watch it.
Well, wait till we
The
get
moment
that
you
on
started
video.
talking Blair Witch type taping, I was done.
Well, when you look at the trailer, I mean, that's all it is you see scenes through the camera that supposedly they've got trying to film this documentary he's created. And the nighttime shots, and I swear there's somebody looking up a nose with a dripping coming out. I mean, it's just
When
very
it's done well,
Blair
when
Witch.
it's done well with the Handycam type of perspective, it's done really well. I watched Last Watch. It's a new cop movie, and when it's done well, it is quite interesting.
The movie that's done really well that way too, and goes into the sci-fi category, is Cloverfield. Maybe not the greatest movie out there, but it was pretty well done on a handheld type of taping. Worth watching. If you want to watch like an hour and a half movie where it goes nowhere, Cloverfield.
Yeah, that's
Check it
what I
out.
want to watch, a movie
Yeah.
that goes nowhere.
We watched Robot Combat League for an hour.
Okay, listen.
All right.
A movie I would recommend too. It's not completely in the handheld, but I believe it's called Chronicle, and it's these kids. They stumble upon this meteor, and they develop these special powers and
I was
everything.
wondering about that
Oh,
movie. That's
yeah.
what
It's not a
called.
bad movie, actually. Yeah.
Chronicle.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch that one.
Wasn't
We'll
it
talk
a
about
Disney
it next.
movie or something?
I don't know who produced it or who made it, but it's worth watching. Yeah.
We'll have to
It's
talk
original.
about it next podcast
Yeah, I'll have to
and see what it
look
is.
into it. Although we're going to hang you to dry if your recommendation came out really crappy and we're all going,
It's
what
not-
are you talking about?
No, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goonies with superpowers.
Yeah.
Oh, please don't mention
Goonies.
Goonies.
I love that movie. What you're too old to remember watching it as a kid, but the rest of us watched it when we were kids.
No, I was old enough to make a decision not to watch it as a kid.
I'm glad I still have only seen bits and pieces of Goonies.
All right, let's-
Sean, you're back in the good books.
let's give a little rundown of how the group looks like. Bill is the old guy.
At 30-ish.
Yes,
Ish.
times
30 going on 50, okay, fine.
times something.
Sean is a creepy 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
Sean is the youngest, and I think he just graduated high school last year.
No, I'm 26.
And then
Really?
you got
That beaver haircut doesn't, yeah.
it's Bieber,
Yeah.
Bieber, not
I-
Beaver.
As far as-
That's a whole other haircut.
Listen, as
we're not allowed to talk about.
We won't talk about the Bieber haircut this
As
time.
far as I'm concerned, it's still Justin Beavertail.
Check our other podcast for the Beaver haircut. And I've got Dylan and me who are the same age, but he's much older. So
Much older.
mentally,
How's Dylan
mentally,
much older?
mentally, he's much older than me.
How old are you?
So, I will not incriminate myself.
31?
I'm 33.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
So this is how it is. But Bill is the guy who always tries to be the old man.
The senior geek, yeah, right.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
still only 30.
He's bringing
He's still
he's bringing the 1950s back.
Listen, somebody's got to bring the 1950s back.
Come on, the Republican Party brings the 1950s back. We don't need that decade.
Yeah, but you ever watch the Silver Screen Channel? But you don't have a TV, do you?
No, I don't have
How do you live?
Happily.
How does anyone in
Without
today's day
commercials.
live?
Only
And your computer is even down.
No, my tower's fine.
Oh, okay.
Just
Well,
my
at least you have
laptop's
some.
toast. Actually,
Only-
both my towers are fine.
Only someone in Bill's age would recommend the Silver Screen Channel. All right.
There is some classic sci-fi on the Silver Screen Channel.
There
really
is, absolutely. Those, cardboard box monsters from Doctor Who are a fantastic watch.
Forbidden Planet. I watched that the other day. How could you not like the Forbidden Planet? The first time we meet Robbie the Robot.
Sean is still wondering what the hell
What
we're
are we
talking
talking
about.
about?
Sean is Googling the Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, there are
Going
some
way
good
back.
classics, but they're hard to watch now. After seeing real movies, I find it really difficult to go
Really?
back and watch
I
some
still
of the
love
60s
some of the
stuff.
old ones.
That's the kid. That's the 50-year-old kid in you. That's what it is.
They've got a section on it. They call it Condensed Classics, and it's essentially a 1.5-hour movie, 2-hour movie, whatever it happens to be, that they condense into a half an hour. The way they describe it is they cut out all the boring bits and keep all the juicy the little parts. And they did one recently, the Attack on Earth or something like this, and it was classic. These were these aliens with these big bug-eyed eyes, and they were going after Earth, and only one person knew. That nobody believed them. It was good.
Yeah,
You mock
Well,
me.
yes, we do.
we do. Just like we were mocking Dylan for showing up with a paper.
That's right.
Old school.
Binary.
But yeah,
There's a bunch of Sean started talking about some new movies, but there's also some new TV shows apparently that are coming out. Last week I think we touched on comics and Marvel and all the rest of it, but you guys remember Agent Cluson?
Cluson, like not Agent Clouseau and Big
No.
Panther?
Remember Iron Man
Yeah,
and the original Iron Man movie, and we met S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
yeah.
Okay, the first agent that you met from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh yes, the guy who kept wanting to get an interview with them.
That's right.
Yes.
Apparently he had a following. There's a number of fans that love this character, and they wanted to bring him back. And he was in the second Iron Man movie too, but he died in that one, remember?
Is it an Iron Man movie?
Or
was
not
it
Iron
in
Man, it was the
Avengers
Avengers
I think he
movie.
dies.
Yeah, and he dies off in that one. Anyway,
No one dies in the Marvel world. but
well,
yes.
apparently not, because according to this, they are bringing, or they're talking about bringing back a TV show based on S.H.I.E.L.D., and
Is this actually in production, or is this rumor to be seeking?
According to the article, they can assume that he won't be in any more of the films, but Clark Gregg will be bringing the character back. That's all it says. The actor. I mean, but it doesn't say how. Is this going to be a pre-Avenger movie series?
Well, you could just do a S.H.I.E.L.D. series. I mean, there's more than enough material to go there.
Well, it'd be curious to see how they use the superheroes within the movie. Within the TV show.
But they don't need it. That's the thing.
That's the thing. You can use S.H.I.E.L.D. without the superheroes.
S.H.I.E.L.D. can exist without the superheroes. The superheroes are more of their weapons that S.H.I.E.L.D. provides them to go out and do whatever. S.H.I.E.L.D. itself doesn't need the superheroes.
Well, it should still be good.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Speaking of, we mentioned briefly American politics, and one thing I really, really loved, I read this article a couple of months ago, actually. Apparently in the U.S., if you get enough signatures going, 30,000 signatures to sign a petition to send to the White House, the White House actually has to make a formal response.
Yeah, they've actually upped that to 100,000 now.
Oh,
after the Death Star.
Yes, that's what I'm going to talk about right now, and that's what I really love. They actually, a White House official formally responded to it, and I'm not going to get into it too much. Just said the cost of it would actually cost, and there's literally more than 20 zeros in the number, and it says that the White House is actively trying to reduce the deficit, not expand it. The administration does not support blowing up planets.
That was the best line I thought from the statement.
and the second.
Are we
best
talking
line,
the Democratic administration or
It's-
the Republican?
it
It's
doesn't
Obama's
matter.
administration.
We're not a political show, so let's just keep going.
vote Democrat. And then last,
Says the 4 Canadians who have no standing.
yeah, and then lastly, why would we spend countless taxpayer dollars on a Death Star with a fundamental flaw that can be exploited by a one-man starship? That was classic, and that was actually responded to by one of the White House staff.
Although that's a perfect segue into the conspiracy theory.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
because I don't know if you guys all saw the video now on whether or not the Death Star was in fact blown up by a lone fighter, or was it in fact an inside job.
Yeah.
And after seeing that video, which by the way is posted on the Anti-Grav Review website, I'm beginning to think it might have been an inside job.
Looks like to me.
I don't know. Pretty hard evidence in there.
It was a great documentary. I mean, the fact that the Death Star blowing up did in fact erase a lot of the data that would have incriminated Princess Leia in the destruction of her home world.
Amidala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Leia.
Leia? Oh yeah, Aldrin.
Yeah. Princess,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
When Alderaan blew up, she was in fact on the bridge of the Death Star.
That is true.
So I don't know. It looks like it's it could be an inside job. Bill,
Stop that.
can't you just like mute your stuff?
I did turn it off.
Speaking of Star Wars, the other section of it,
We weren't talking about Star Wars.
Death Star, Star Wars, nothing goes hand in hand. I love how Lucasfilm keeps coming up and protecting everybody that makes mistakes that they're supporting. Like with the Jedi mind meld situation with
Oh,
Obama.
that's right.
They come out with this article that apparently a Jedi mind meld does exist when all the Jedis put their forces together trying to protect a useless conversation that Obama was frustrated with, only to say that he actually knew what he was talking about when in fact he was trying to say
Even though he
Vulcan.
did apologize about it afterwards.
Yeah, and he was trying to talk about the Vulcan mind meld, which is kind of useless conversation.
I think it was a Jedi mind trick that he wanted to perform, though, from the context of the original.
I think
Yeah.
it's right. Yeah,
I think he would have, because you want to sort of go make those Republicans move along.
and then not 2 weeks later or something like that, Ilya Brizgalov, for any hockey fans, the Philadelphia goalie, does a Star Wars theme mask and puts Yoda in a red lightsaber, and he does that because the Philadelphia Flyers, orange, white, and black clothes, the lightsaber goes better with it. And he gets told by
That's a Sith.
yeah, he gets told by Lucasfilm to change the lightsaber with Yoda because it's the Sith lightsaber and he cannot be using it because he's a Jedi.
But who told him that?
Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
told him.
Lucasfilm is also the same group that's backing up Obama's
Yes.
statement.
Yes.
And they tell him that he has to change his lightsaber on his helmet. So the game after that, he shows up with the green lightsaber, and the forces in the universe got back together, and everything's good.
One thing I'm
Although
actually,
Yoda as a Sith would be kind of classy. I
That
think
would
that would be a franchise reboot.
Well,
would
that should
quite
be
interesting.
the sequel. Like, he didn't actually die.
Yeah.
He should make, like, instead of dying when he trained.
Plus, Anakin was a Jedi.
Yeah.
He used a red lightsaber. No problems.
So,
one thing I'm actually excited about Disney doing with the Star Wars series and everything is making individual films, for example, with Yoda and Boba Fett. That's what I'm really hoping that those rumor mills are truth.
that would be cool.
Yeah. But as far as I know, they're going to bring back Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a full reunion.
which sounds kind of campy to me personally, but
Well, they've got a very limited time frame with which to get these guys back together because Mark Hamill, I mean, he looked nearly dead by the end of the original series, so he's certainly not aged well. Carrie Fisher's going to be somebody's grandmother, I assume.
Yeah, probably. I don't think she'll be wearing the Leia slave.
Yeah, no, I don't think that'll go over so well with the fans as much.
No, but Joe, you kept on finding some very nice Leia slave,
They're all over the
Pictures.
internet. I just found the best ones. That's all.
the best 20 dozen.
Doesn't matter.
Which is still a fraction of 0.00001% of all the pictures that are out there.
Thank you, Dylan. And I don't hear you complain when I sent those
I
pictures.
didn't complain about it.
You sound like you are.
I'm only complaining I have to keep deleting it before my wife sees it on the phone.
That's your problem.
I'm just hoping someone stumbles upon my phone and is really into it.
You'll never get your phone back.
Yeah.
Uh,
Another thing I'm kind of looking forward to is I read that Will Smith's going to be in a couple new sci-fi movies.
again?
Yeah, he's going to be in an M. Night Shyamalan? Yeah.
M. Night
Sci-fi
Shyamalan.
type movie, and another one called Colossus, which is based on a sci-fi book apparently. So sort of extending his.
What was it? Okay, he's in one right now. What's that one?
I'm not sure.
You mean the Men in Black 3? Or you're
No.
talking something newer?
He's in one. I saw a very brief preview of it where he is with his son on Earth.
I think that's supposed to be Colossus. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it does look interesting.
Yeah, and I really liked him in, well, not the iRobot, but what was the other one where it was just him and...
Oh, that Last Man on Earth movie, they recalled it.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, and I think
What's
it's
it
kind of
called?
interesting that he keeps doing these sci-fi type movies. And he was obviously in Independence Day, but I wouldn't really say that was sci-fi.
Well, of course it was. That
It's
was
got aliens in it.
You know, that was
doesn't automatically put
that
it
was
into
a good
sci-fi.
movie.
But
I just
that sort of brings down the bar of sci-fi. in my
no.
opinion.
Come on, what?
You got Jeff Goldblum.
Think of
I mean,
a-
he's
think-
instant sci-fi. Just
think
put
of-
Jeff Goldblum near it.
Yeah,
it's sci-fi.
Jeff Goldblum is awesome.
But think of that movie when it first.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, The Fly, man.
Think of that movie as soon as it came out,
Yeah.
What movie?
like the
Independence
Day.
I remember seeing that
More propaganda, but it is
on
sci-fi.
Quimpo
Right.
Roll.
Well, anytime you have a Bruckheimer kind of
In
event,
Halifax,
it becomes a
something like
major
that.
flag fest.
Yeah. Now, when you look, okay, we're talking about it. Let's keep going on it. What's the difference between sci-fi and horror? We mentioned it earlier with the Frankenstein. I mean,
More
there-
people die in horror movies.
Yeah.
Well,
Although the
blood
body
and all
count
that.
can become
Well, look at
statistic.
Aliens. Look at the Alien movie. Some people actually listed that under horror,
I Am Legend.
Yeah,
That was what it was called.
which, by the way, is a reboot of
The Last Man on Earth,
yeah, well, of an old movie.
which would have played on silver screen that we were talking
Yes,
about, and,
and
Bill
it
would have
did,
seen
actually.
I think that's where you had the word suspense to go in between that horror
And-
genre
yeah.
when it's not really gore, because that's usually the horror theme, is that gore component, be it zombie creepiness or some kind of hack and slash adventure.
Well, Aliens had gore.
Yeah.
All the Alien reboots had gore. You had the Frankenstein. I mean, there's gore, but it's listed as science fiction.
Jason in Space. That was horror
Jason in
sci-fi.
Jason
If you haven't
Space.
seen that movie, don't.
That's
I was about to say there's something that
I think-
instantly had no appeal.
I think that was the link between horror and sci-fi right there. I think when in doubt, they put it under horror. It's all it is. I think
Yeah.
you're right, Dylan. Like horror has a lot more slashing, guts, and whatever. Sci-fi it usually involves some sort of space or aliens or something like that.
Well, Sleepy Hollow, the one that I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
the reboot that from Fox, that one is listed as a science fiction.
Well, that would be weird.
It is. That it doesn't make
Because it's
sense.
not really going to science fiction, especially when you're going backward in time to a sort of
But we're not even
near
traveling in time
Victorian.
here.
But what I mean is the setting is not very
No.
sci-fi oriented. I mean, if you go back to some form of 1870s steampunk environment, you might say, okay, that's sci-fi. But some guy on a horse, not sci-fi.
Yeah, it just seems to be taking more like that marketing spin. Like, what's that? Hansel and Gretel, Lincoln Vampire Killer, something like that. It's just
That's one that I won't be
trying to
seeing anytime
reboot
soon.
all these classical books.
Jack the Giant Killer.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm not sure what you'd list Jack. More of a fantasy thing than anything. It's not science fiction. It's not horror. Got beanstalks.
Well, I think that's the problem when you have so many sort of cross-genre movies. They just sort of put whatever tags they think the internet's going to like. I think it's probably keywords is a big part of why these movies get tagged with the wrong stuff. Is you want your people when they're searching for whatever term to have your movie pop up.
But again, I truly believe if when in doubt, if they don't know if that movie is good for kids or not or whatever, slap it under horror, and then you don't. Then you just took away that. You put the onus on the parents to decide if they're gonna let their kids watch it or not.
So you think PG rating, sci-fi, and ours leans towards horror just from the.
Pretty much. I think that's how it is. Like, now there's the new shows, speaking of new shows, or whatever, if you want to put sci-fi / horror, is now they're creating these shows that are based on games, like Defiance.
Oh yeah.
Defiance is starting May 25th, I think. No, sorry, not May 20th, March, whatever. Sometime. And it's happening 2 weeks after the game gets released. And the way they're doing it is pretty cool, actually. Is the game is happening in San Francisco. The show is happening in St. Louis. And what they've done, they put a 2 gap in between, because the way the game apparently ends is they're doing a pilgrim towards St. Louis, and it takes 2 weeks if you're going to do it on horse and buggy. And that's why they're making 2 week gap between the release of the game and the release of the show. And I'm interested in watching that one. I think I'm going to be PVRing it so I can skip through the commercials.
Yeah.
Well, an interesting trend I heard in TV that like I subscribe to Netflix, and they recently came out with House of Cards.
Yeah,
And they're
that's an
releasing.
interesting-
Yeah, I haven't gotten into it, but apparently it's really good with Kevin Spacey, and they released it all in one shot. So that seems to be, rather than spacing it out week after week, people can do like marathons.
Okay.
And so that seems that to me is an interesting trend in like TV in general, just having these marathons. And just as I realize, and as I'm going to probably be addicted to Star Trek Next Generation is on Netflix, so I will definitely be doing a marathon of that again.
When you talk about those marathons, would you have started with the show 24? Like,
No.
Yeah, on
because
DVD.
on DVD.
Yeah.
Where it's like one day, it's like they pretty much, the whole show is happening in one day, right?
Yeah.
That 24 hours. So if you actually watch the DVD, or you get it on Netflix if it is there or whatever, you can technically watch all the show in 24 hours and not miss. That would be like,
A little less than that, since every actually
Yes,
every episode's about
because
44
when-
minutes on DVD.
because between him going from the office house takes like 35 seconds. But
Some of the theaters are doing that though. They're having a 24-hour-a-thon. of different movies. Cineplex, I think, is coming out with a Star Trek marathon.
I know they've done it for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was
Yeah, very long.
Well,
They
yeah,
did a
that
Star
was an
Trek-
overnighter.
They did a Star Wars one too.
Yeah.
Doing all 6.
if you can make it through the first movie of the Star Trek, if they do a marathon for Star Trek, if you can get through the first movie, then you're good.
Well, that'd still be tough, though. I mean, I think 5 movies is the limit of really where you can do a marathon in the movies,
Yeah.
especially if it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, so firstly, well, there's 2 things that I want to mention. Patrick Stewart getting married, but also today is William Shatner's 82nd birthday.
Yeah, March 22nd.
Excellent.
Happy birthday there.
Yeah. happy
Mr.
birthday.
Shartner.
Mr. I showed up on the Oscars.
Yeah, that was awesome. A lot of people didn't like that. Apparently, a lot of people were offended by Seth MacFarlane. I thought it was hilarious.
Seth MacFarlane is supposed to offend you. That's
Yeah.
his job.
If you've seen Family Guy, yes.
And-
And it's
How
well
can
done.
you sign Seth MacFarlane and not be offended?
That was the thing. The second they signed him, he was like,
Oh.
I'm never going to be able to do this again. He admitted it. He's like, I have no idea why they
Yeah.
asked me to do this.
Well,
because-
clearly they've never seen any of his work.
Exactly. They're just like, oh, Seth MacFarlane, his name seems to be everywhere these days.
And
we
if
should
you
get him.
haven't seen the William Shatner roast on Comedy Network, it was hosted by Seth MacFarlane, who's actually a
really?
huge fan of William Shatner. It's excellent. It's just hilarious.
I know a lot of people get down on Shatner, but I mean, this is a man that is really philanthropic. He has donated a lot of his time, energy, and money in promoting some really good causes. And he's done really well for people. I mean, he travels the world just giving lectures and talks, and you gotta love his rendition of Elton John's Rocket Man. I mean, that's my favorite
Yeah, his
rendition.
musical career kind of. I don't know if that's an area that we should go anywhere. I mean, it is sort of out there.
He is not a captain. He is a man.
Yes.
Yeah, I like his "I am Canadian" rant. The one he's the original starter of the "I am Canadian" ad that started with the Canadian beer.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he started that one, and then they took it and they turned the whole beer thing.
Wanted to mention Patrick Stewart is
Yeah.
getting married again. I don't want to get into the whole
What?
why, how old his future wife is going to be and all that, but I wanted to mention that he's getting married by, I forget his first name, but it's McKellen. He plays Magneto in the new X-Men series. He's going to be, what's that? Ian McKellen. He's going to be basically like the priest marrying them. Not a priest, obviously.
Are we talking real life, or are we
Real
talking
life.
about a movie?
Real life.
No, real life, she's like what, 30 years younger than him.
35, yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't care about that.
You know why it's happening, right? It's just because he has Sir in front of him. Because he's been knighted.
And he's
Patrick
also
Stewart.
a classically trained artist. They met on the set of Macbeth, so.
No, I could see him doing Macbeth and doing an incredible job. But I always questioned why they picked Patrick Stewart, an Englishman with an English accent, to play someone
Jean-Luc
from
Picard.
Jean-Luc Picard from France. You know, it's just struck me
It
as
doesn't
very odd.
matter in the Federation because there's no more countries by
Oh,
that.
and hang
That's
on.
okay. Sean Connery played a Russian.
Yeah,
Sean
it's true.
In Red October, he plays a
It's
Russian.
true.
He plays a Russian.
Yeah.
But did he not also play a Spaniard in The Highlander?
Yes.
He did,
He played a
yeah.
Spaniard, yeah.
Now, I heard a comedian recently do an imitation and haven't really heard a Spaniard with a drogue before. But it is hilarious.
But
Yeah.
just the fact that Magneto is marrying Professor X is
Is
pretty
he
cool.
is he dressing in character as
That
well?
would be pretty cool.
Maybe a Klingon wedding?
The article I read was just like, hopefully some point in the wedding, Ian says, "You shall not pass." And Patrick Stewart says, "Make it so." Yeah.
New movie I just saw coming out. I'm sure a number of people have seen 300. Now there is 300 Rise of an Empire, which apparently takes place right after the battle where the original 300 lost. And it's supposed to be the Persian army continues to advance and to major Greek cities, and essentially the Greeks defend their territory.
So I guess they're going out of history at this point because didn't they get massacred by the Persians?
Yeah, Xerxes pretty much kicks their ass.
Yeah, he just goes through them.
I wasn't a huge fan of the 300 movie, but I loved the aesthetic of it, the look of it. That was really cool.
The fight scenes were pretty good in that movie. It was really well made fight scene wise.
Mm-hmm.
Well, around that time, they had a number of movies that came out with the same sort of look
Heroic
and feel.
theme.
Yeah, Sin
Spartacus.
Yeah, but even the visual, what was it?
Sin City.
Sin
was
City,
one
yes.
of that.
I think it
It's
might
like-
have been the
well,
same director.
Sin City was more like the film noir kind of
Yeah.
cross
Neo-noir.
theme.
Yeah, but it's
No, but it was all blue and green screen.
it's this thing of, I think, with the 300 one and the Sin City and whatever is they tape it and then it's almost like a pencil and they pencil everything else on them instead of it's this weird drawing, non-drawing. That's what created that genre at the
Well,
time.
there was another one too.
And it was a breakout film for Gerard Butler.
Was it?
I remember
Yeah.
that too. That
Well, I was
a
thinking
big
of
hit.
one that was with Angelina Jolie, Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't see
That was another one that was filmed in the same sort
Wow.
of.
How the hell do you remember that one?
Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
I completely forgot about that movie.
That's a great movie.
I've completely.
When you said
forgot
Jolie,
about
my head went to different movies, and
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I was like, what?
But there's
They're
a movie
awful.
that's
Anything with Jolie, I'll watch.
yeah. That's
Except for her serious roles. No. No, she's a good actress.
You don't have to defend her. She's not listening. I highly doubt Angelina Jolie is watching the show and is gonna email us.
Get an email. You know what? I'm not exactly happy with my portrayal in your
Yeah.
podcast.
Now,
So-
if Angelina Jolie does happen to hear this and want to attend to one of our podcasts, she's more than welcome. My wife will certainly welcome her to our home.
I don't know where you're going with that.
No, my wife is pretty good. She knows I have a crush on Angelina Jolie.
There's a movie that's sort of like that. It came out not too long. Sucker Punch. I don't know. Did anyone see it?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's you know what as a movie itself, not a greatest movie, but it has a wicked soundtrack that comes with it, and
Okay.
visually, it's such a good visual movie. But story wise, it started off so well, going somewhere, and it just lets you down.
Yeah, soundtrack can definitely make or break a movie. Yeah.
But like if you Google Sucker Punch, the first thing that will come out is Sucker Punch soundtrack. The soundtrack was more impressive than the movie, but visually as a movie, like it fits that what we were talking about with that weird.
Not quite a genre, but
Yeah.
a little bit of everything.
What was the kind of music? What genre of music? Rock or?
Well, it's more of like a futuristic techno type of music, and I don't know if I could listen to it without seeing the visuals that come with the movie. I think they complement each other very well, the music and what's going on the screen.
There is a new show in Ottawa. I think we should probably mention. It's the Star Wars show at the Aviation Museum. I put up a link. It's an article, a copy of an article from CBC website, but it was just announced that the Star Wars show is being taken around. It started out in Montreal. It's supposed to have, I don't know, 300 odd props and uniforms and whatnot from the movie. Not sure if they're going to have a TIE fighter there. That would be kind of cool if they had a full-size mock-up. I mean, it is the Aviation and Space Museum
Well,
in
that's
Ottawa.
I was like, they must have an X-wing or a
even
Y-wing.
X-wing. I'd love to see the X-wing more than TIE fighter.
Either one of each.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. And they should play the Death Star conspiracy theory at the same time. But I'm definitely gonna go check that one out for sure.
Yeah, that's shows from May to September.
It's their summer run.
We'll,
Right?
we'll
Yeah.
put a review of that show on the site, and maybe if we can take some pictures.
Yeah, we'll go. We'll maybe get some interviews with. If you look at the photograph on the CBC website, or if you go to the Anti-Grav Review website, the X-wing fighter pilot looks a little on the.
He had one too many Burger Kings.
You gotta wonder.
Like, out of all the fighters that they could choose from the Star Wars movies, they choose the biggest guy who couldn't control that joystick as much.
Let's just say that joystick would be in a perpetual downward,
Instant acceleration.
yes.
Yeah. He sits in it, it accelerates. That's it.
Like, no offense, dude, but holy crap on a cracker.
Well, I mean, the throttle rate for a pilot is pretty low, so I figured that once pop him in there, he's never coming out again anyway. He's gonna blow up.
Especially
on
in
his...
space.
Well, what was the fighter pilot's name? Porkins.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
come on, really? You're going to nickname the heaviest guy in the entire movie Porkins? What was he thinking?
Well, that's
the manifest destiny of your name, right?
That's the impolitically correctness of the time the movie came out.
Fun, gentlemen. Enjoyed this.
Anyway, looks like that's pretty much it for today's podcast.
Thank you for listening.
From Sean,
Yes.
a man of very few words, Dylan,
Hello, thanks for coming out.
and Joe,
Thanks for listening, guys.
and myself, William. Today's podcast, again, brought to you from the fantastic Daily Grind, located at 601 Somerset Street West in Ottawa. I'm glad you can join us, and hope you can come out again in a couple weeks or so when we bring you in even more geekish fun and lots of new information. And enjoy. Take care.